for the fofo. This for the fofo. For the city and them back roads. Got a whole county full of them goats. All from the fofo and them goats. Hey, it's just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah. So let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva. Them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmerton and Valley. We from the football chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcons. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewood got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating those dragons who run the whole city. You wildin'. And they really bout it, yeah. And next we gon' go to Grand Valley. Work like a horse and don't show no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them. Yeah, and kinda I flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number one in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. This for the fofo. This for the fofo. This for the fofo.
Good morning, everybody. It is Sam Torres here from the 440 Sports Show today, Thursday, March 16th, one day away from Dia de los St. Patty's, or the St. Patty's Day celebration. I'm sure a lot of you are super excited about that. I know myself personally, I am. It's a big deal in this house. We've got a great place right here in Ashtabula that has become kind of our annual attendant, the place where we attend annually in Dublin Down. If you ever find yourself anywhere near Ashtabula, Dublin Down, just a great place to go grab a bite to eat. It's an Irish pub right here on Main Avenue, the historic Main Avenue here in Ashtabula, Ohio. I'm really looking forward to going there and getting some good corned beef and cabbage. It's always a great time, a great atmosphere, and there's just a lot of great people, including the owner, Dave Clint. Just not yet a sponsor, not yet an advertiser. That is just Sam Torres telling you about a great spot to go grab a bite to eat if you're ever up this way by the lake here in Ashtabula, Ohio. We got a pretty cool show today. It's not going to be, we won't have a baseball preview today. I'm still waiting on some information on a couple of the other teams, Jefferson and Grand Valley. We're trying to get that one put together. But today we're just going to kind of do a freestyle show here a little bit. We're going to talk about, obviously, All-Star games, some of the events coming out. I want to talk a little bit about, excuse me, I want to talk a little bit about some of the matchups that I'm really looking forward to watching this year in the baseball season. And some of the matchups maybe that aren't happening that I'm number one, I'm surprised that aren't happening. And, with baseball and the baseball schedule being, so fluid, I'm hoping that maybe will happen. Let's and you know what? We're gonna dip our toes into the World Baseball Classic too as well, because I'm as excited for the World Baseball Classic as I think a lot of people get for the Olympics. I know me personally, when it comes to the Olympics, I tune in, I watch, I do the patriotic thing. I push, for the United States to win. But the World Baseball Classic is something a little bit different. It's when it comes to professional baseball, and baseball in general, I think baseball is a beautiful game. I've enjoyed it since I was a kid. Now it's something that I stopped playing, I think, after my freshman year in high school because I just didn't have the passion for it. And one thing about baseball is if you don't have the passion for it, then you don't belong on the field. It's the passionate baseball fans separate themselves, or baseball players separate themselves pretty early. These guys are out there working hard, getting swings in, throwing pitches, working on technique and stuff like that, and it shows. And one of the things I've talked about as we've done all the previews that we've done so far are year-round baseball guys. The guys who are playing, the two teams that kind of stick out to me with AAU in this area, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some big ones, and forgive me, for not having a complete and thorough list of AAU baseball teams up here. But I look at teams like the Bruisers, I look at teams like the Bulls, and the kids who are playing on those teams, in my opinion, have a pretty significant advantage over the guys who aren't. Now, there's an argument. There's an argument for baseball, just like there's an argument for basketball, just like there's an argument for volleyball. As to does that schedule take up too much of the athlete's time? On any given day of the week, my view on that changes. I do realize that one of the things that I very much believe is student athletes, particularly during that 4 years of high school, I think they should play as many sports as they physically can. I don't know that they should put all their eggs in one bucket or in one basket. I don't know if playing one sport throughout high school is your best route to success. One of the things I've seen in the past from colleges and from college recruiters and college coaches is they love watching multi-sport athletes. And the reason why they want to see a multi-sport athlete is because they want to see what, an athlete that is dominant in one sport. So say you've got a great pitcher, you've got a great hitter, and they've always been the best. College recruiters and college, just upper level baseball guys, upper level football guys, they want to see what that player does when they're in a situation where they maybe aren't necessarily the best. They want to see what they're doing when they're not completely dominating everybody. And that's why being a multi-sport athlete, I think, is really, really important. That, along with the fact that when it comes to high school, and I've said this on numerous occasions as well, when it comes to high school, you only get 4 of them, or you only get 4 years. So you got 4 years, and you can never replicate it. So when you're in high school, you only have one try to get 4 years of football, basketball, baseball, softball. And depending on what school you go to, depending on the size of the school, your school probably needs you. And there's some validity to that as well. Like, are you a team player kind of in the overall scheme of things? But yeah, that's kind of my stance on that. But with baseball, going back to the World Baseball Classic, I love baseball, but I have always believed that 162 games is by far way too many games. I think Major League Baseball just has the season of Major League Baseball seems more like a job for somebody. I guess you would call me a casual fan. It seems like a job to try and keep up on one team keep up on one team for 162 games essentially becomes a full-time job. And if you want to be well-versed in baseball and you want to watch around the league, or maybe you just have two, excuse me, maybe you just have 2 teams that you like. I got a couple teams that I follow. You know what I mean? Obviously, I for years I was a Guardians fan. Well, I was an Indians fan. I'm still trying to kind of bring myself back into the fandom with the name change and all that stuff of the Guardians. And I understand how important it was. I understand why it needed to happen. So that's not really it. It's more of like it's a personal deal. Growing up, watching those Indians teams play, developing my love for the game, watching, guys like Manny Ramirez, who is my favorite baseball player of all time. No questions asked. There's nobody even close. Those Indians teams were a huge part of my childhood. It was a part of my childhood that I got to share with my father as well. Baseball is one of the only sports that he really kind of got into, really enjoyed to watch on TV. You know what I mean? He was very supportive of everything we did, but baseball was the one we got a chance to watch. So when that whole experience kind of changes, it leaves a little bit of a bitter taste in your mouth. But there are other teams I like to watch. I've always, my family being from Long Island, New York, I've always had a soft spot for the Mets. My grandfather was a diehard Mets fan, so part of me always wants to watch the Mets win. I always want them to kind of, and it worked for years. It worked for years because the Indians were in the American League and the Mets were in the National League. So the only time I was going to have to worry about those two actually, going up against each other is in the World Series. The Pittsburgh Pirates. Pittsburgh Pirates are the lone team in Pittsburgh that I allow myself to root for. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. I've always liked the team. I think the Pittsburgh Pirates were a fun team to watch. I liked, McCutchen, and, that was in my later years, obviously, but, McCutchen and those guys. I thought the Pittsburgh Pirates were oftentimes on a very similar path as my Cleveland team. So we were kind of brothers in struggle. So I always enjoyed watching them. But I mean, to be able to keep up on all these teams, when they're playing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sometimes Sunday, it's impossible. It really is. That's the best thing I think about NFL football. And NFL football is very quickly kind of diving into that overexposure as well. The greatest thing about football was you dedicated 1 to 2 days to it. If you were a pro fan, maybe 3 days if you were a college fan, or if you are like me and you're a high school fan as well, you're gonna put that Friday in there now. But now, we've gotten to a point with football that it's, Monday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you're only getting a 2 day break, but it still seems easier to kind of follow. It still seems easier to keep track of players, keep track of games. Whereas with baseball, 162 games. The only other sport that I guess is similar really in its it really is a marathon to watch is hockey. And hockey is a phenomenal sport. For those of you who have never sat down and watched a hockey game, let me encourage you to do so. Now, that doesn't mean sit down and watch one on TV. Because you're not going to know what's going on, and you're probably going to get bored pretty quickly until you figure out what the game is. But I would encourage you to go to a Lake Erie Monsters game, to go check out the Otters over in Erie, to head down into Youngstown. I constantly mess up their name, so I'm not even going to call them what I think they're called. But there's some great hockey teams down in Youngstown. It's probably when you talk about the actual in-game experience. Yes, and also there are fights in hockey as well. And that's one way to keep you entertained. But excuse me. As for actual in-game experience, I think hockey's second to none. That's the way you're going to get into it. But anyway, I digress again. Getting back to the World Baseball Classic, it's the one time, that I really, really get into it. I love watching the games. I've probably sat down and watched 3 or 4 of these games in the last couple days. And that's a lot for me because, as you know, time is not something that I have a whole lot of with trying to kind of get baseball going, keep the show going. We've got a lot of awesome stuff going on at YSN, so trying to keep up with that. So anytime I get a chance to actually sit down and watch a sporting event on the pro side, it's really a blessing. So I've gotten to watch some really great games. And with the World Baseball Classic, my team my dad's Puerto Rican, I'm Puerto Rican. I love Team Puerto Rico. That's been my big thing. Team Puerto Rico has done so awesome in these World Baseball Classics. Baseball is a staple on the island. It's still the biggest sport, although basketball is very, very quickly approaching and nipping at its heels. It was great. Now, last night they take on the Dominican Republic, and it was an absolute. There's no other way to put it, but other than the fact that Team Puerto Rico was a pretty hefty underdog. The Dominican Republic has been the favorite in the World Baseball Classic for years. They are absolutely stocked with talent. If you look in Major League Baseball, the Dominican Republic has probably more representation, I think, than any um, Hispanic country, Hispanic area. I think it's probably more Dominican Republic players than any other place. So and Major League Baseball, to me, that's the top of the top. You know what I mean? It's if you're good enough to play in Major League Baseball, you beat up really the rest of the world. And it was an interesting conversation I've had with a couple friends when we talk about their kids and their kids being multi-sport athletes, and if they ever want to go pro, which is the best path to go. And honestly, like, I think it takes a lot of courage. I think it takes a lot of work, obviously, to make it anywhere, but the baseball path is seemingly the toughest of all of them. I mean, with football is an American thing, so you are competing against really the best players in America. To be an NFL guy. You know what I mean? So the pool seems to be a little bit smaller. Basketball, where basketball has grown internationally since probably the Dream Team in '92, and gained huge followings. Basketball still probably is played at the highest level here in the United States. Baseball, on the other hand, is played at a very, very high level everywhere around the world. And, places like the Dominican Republic, where kids are doing it 365 days a year, these kids are just very, very skilled. So I think it's probably the hardest one to kind of get over. But Puerto Rico stuns the Dominican Republic with a win 5-2 over them in the World Baseball Classic. I was pretty excited about that. This was a series that was a big series in the last World Baseball Classic as well, with the Dominican Republic coming out on top. It was a game I basically was kind of double circling, wanted to make sure I got a chance to watch, and it was everything I hoped it would be. It's nice to be on the winning side sometimes. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, Puerto Rico loses their closer, Edwin Diaz. Team Puerto Rico loves to celebrate, and that's probably where I get it from. They when they win, they love to win, and they want to know everybody to know that they won, and they went out there and they're jumping around, and everybody's having a great time. And unfortunately, Edwin Diaz is going to attain what they've called a serious injury in that celebration, which is unfortunate. But I will be tuning in again. One of the cool things to watch, and as for the United States is honestly performing better than I thought they would, because the United States has had tough times in this World Baseball Classic. But the United States has this guy who, a lot of people have dubbed the new Babe Ruth. Like, the dude is a stud. He's an absolute stud. And Mike Trout might be the best baseball player to ever play the game. And nobody knows his name because he's a put your head down and get the job done type of guy. So they're winning. They're going up against Venezuela, and Venezuela. The only time I watched them obviously was when they beat Puerto Rico this year. Venezuela is very, very good, very, very good, very, very stocked with Major League Baseball talent there as well. And then whoever wins that is going to get to take on Cuba in the quarterfinal. Whereas on the other side you've got Puerto Rico going against Mexico. That one's going to happen Friday. At 7:00, and then Italy versus Japan. And that Japan team with Shohei Ohtani, who, while Mike Trout is probably the best baseball player in baseball right now, I think Shohei Ohtani, excuse me for the pronunciation, I think he's probably the most intriguing one. This is a guy, for if you've been out of baseball, the first one I've ever seen, and if I'm wrong, please feel free to correct me. I do not claim to be an authority on baseball. But the first player I can remember ever during the time I've been alive that has been a effective pitcher and an effective hitter as he is. This is a guy that, goes out there. He plays a starter role for them at times, as well as hits home runs on the reg, and is so good at batting that he has a spot in the lineup no matter what, whether they have a DH or not. But that's Japan versus Italy with the winner of those two games. That one's going to happen at 6:00 in the morning on Actually, it happened. So I don't know what the actual results were in that one. I was at 6 o'clock in the morning this morning. But Saturday is where you're going to be able to check out Venezuela versus the United States, and Puerto Rico versus Mexico on Friday. Just some great games. I know we don't typically talk about professional sports on this show, but there are we're going to make some exceptions from time to time. I talked a little bit about March Madness yesterday. We talked a little bit about brackets, and I really, really am looking forward to taking part in this bracket challenge with a great group of guys here at YSN this year. We've got a lot. There's a lot of guys in there, and we'll see. There's some wagers, some behind the scene wagers. Some guys are going to be wearing maybe clothes that they wouldn't normally wear, colors that they normally wouldn't wear, schools that they wouldn't normally wear. There's some guy, we've got some wagers out there flowing, and it makes it a lot more fun. It's the fantasy football of college basketball, and I love it because it's a nice little tight project that you get to do it in. We're going to go to our first break here. When we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the upcoming events that we've got, as well as a YourCast that's happening on Saturday. I do want to give everybody just kind of a quick update. We've got a couple coaching profile interviews that are going to be coming up. I'm hoping to get a couple of them actually knocked out tonight. I've got 2 separate coaches that are going to be scheduled. One being Alvin Rodriguez from St. John and Jeff Barger from Edgewood. We're going to get both of those interviews out. Alvin Rodriguez, we will most likely air tomorrow on the show, with Jeff coming on Monday, where they're just going to do a little bit. You got the preview from me. And now you got to get the preview from the coaches, because these guys are the ones who are going to be making the calls, who are going to, they obviously have a much, much better grasp of what their teams are and what their expectations are. And sometimes it's better to hear it from the horse's mouth. So that's going to be coming up here in the next couple of days. Today is just kind of a freestyle show. We don't have a baseball preview to go to. As a 5-day-a-week show, sometimes you got to go a little bit off the beaten path every once in a while, and that's what we're doing today. We're talking a little bit of March Madness. We're talking a little bit of World Baseball Classic. I would love to hear any of your guys' input on, are you watching the World Baseball Classic? Are you watching March Madness? Did you fill out some brackets? Did you put together groups? I put out the challenge yesterday. If you have groups, take some pictures, throw it on the social medias, and tag us. That way we can kind of follow along with you. As these brackets begin to get locked in here in this YSN group, you can bet your bottom dollar. We're going to talk about it on this show. We're going to talk about the winners, the losers. Hopefully I'm on the first part. I'm not necessarily convinced I'm going to be. I talked about it yesterday that, this year is probably the hardest bracket I've ever had to fill out, because it just none of my picks feel right. None of them. But that's what we've got going. So we're going to go to our first break, and our first break is going to be with our friends over at Toyota of Warren. And I do want to remind everybody who is watching right now that the 440 Sports Show is brought to you by, insert your name here. We got some room for sponsorship. We got some room for advertisements. I would love to get some Ashtabula representation, not only on this show, but also on the network. 68 schools, 68 separate school districts, 68 separate communities this is the best way to kind of get your product out there and talk about it, and let people know about the great stuff that you do, all while helping high school athletes through us, as it helps us continue our broadcast and continue to make things better. We'll be back after this break. Toyota of Warren. We'll see you soon.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren. Driven by you.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun, it all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business. No job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Why choose local? Because you live here, work here, learn here, relax here, and celebrate here. 21 WFMJ is our Valley's only locally owned TV station, and our focus is local. Other TV stations don't have that same focus, as their owners are somewhere else. But 21 WFMJ is rooted in the Valley. Local people making decisions that affect your life, right here where you live.
You're looking to your future, preparing for your goals, and they're closer than you think. Because here, success is part of the plan. It's a place where academic and social opportunities are meant to prepare you for life, not just the next 4 years. You'll be equipped to face new challenges and turn hard work into a career. You're ready for your success to take root. And here's where it starts. We are Youngstown State University, and proud.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
All right, guys, welcome back here to the 440 Sports Show. My name is Sam Torres. Right here, the host of Ashtabula's only sports morning talk show. Montrose Hogan Cooper. I did play with Josh Cooper. He graduated a couple years ahead of me, and I do want to send a big shout out to him because Josh Cooper is one of my first, I guess you call him, sports heroes. He was only a couple years older than me in school, but I'll tell you, you will never find a better running back you will that I saw. You know what I mean? That guy was the leader of our team. He ran us into playoff games. You know, he really kind of dominated the area. One of the best running backs to ever play play football in this area ever. I understand we've had some absolutely phenomenal football players right here in Ashtabula County, but Josh Cooper really had separated himself away. And he's a guy, when you talk about a leader, he was a real leader. One of the stories that always sticks out in my head for him is when we had this very tough game against Menor. You know, we made the playoffs, and everybody was so excited to get there, and everybody was just kind of starstruck walking into Jerome T. Osborne Stadium. I'll never forget it, except our leader, except Josh Cooper, who was about business that day. He did not go there to lose. Now, granted, we got our tongues beat in. I'm not going to sugarcoat that, but this was a guy that never once flinched, he belonged on that field. He knew he belonged on that field. And I think he surprised even those Menor guys with how good he was. So, yes, I did play with Josh Cooper. I had the pleasure of playing with Josh Cooper. And it's one of he's still one of the best Dragons I've ever seen play. You know, I still hold him in high regard. If he's not in your conversations for best to ever play the game, and that was a stacked team. That was an absolutely stacked athletic team. We talk about teams from, all-timers. You could pick any of the teams that Josh Cooper played on, and a large part of that was because of him. And, I mean, he's been killing it since what at that time was called the Midget League. He was a Jet. I was a Jet. Jets, Jets. Yes, played with Josh Cooper. I had the honor and the privilege to play with him. And, you tell Josh I said what's up. But yeah, getting back to it, I wanted to, I'm going to bring this up and lead myself up to show you guys my bracket, and it might be a little bit hard to see, but I will be filling it. I will be showing it and filling it out. And, we're going to take this journey this year together. That much I can tell you. I'm going to take my wins and losses in a very, very public way. I'll release my bracket on social media as well. I mean, if you guys want to copy my bracket, more power to you. There are no trade secrets on there. I picked wild and I picked wild and absolutely kind of just whatever I was feeling at that time right now. So here's my bracket. A little bit hard to see, but for some reason it's not filled out. That's the way it goes. I will show my filled out bracket coming up here on the show. I'm going to release it. I will be releasing it on social media once I get mine kind of printed and all that good stuff. Let's talk about a couple of let's talk a little bit about some of the upcoming events. And we're going to go kind of in order. On this Saturday, we're going to have a Yourcast of the Akron Hoban Knights taking on the Toledo St. John Titans. That's going to be right here on Saturday. Now, on the call for this game is going to be Ty Bartell and Dom O'Brien. Both of those guys are absolutely phenomenal broadcasters. They're going to paint a picture from that game that they're going to be there, and you're going to feel like you're sitting right next to them. Now, just to kind of help and improve that experience, we have instituted a new way to watch these audio-only calls, and it's called Yourcast. It's going to be a YSN exclusive. On your screen, we're going to have updated scores, times, quarters. We're going to have their points and their fouls. There's some other things that we're working on getting installed in here. This is something that I will be producing for this game, so I'll be involved just on the quiet side. But that's going to be happening at 8 o'clock. I'm sorry, 8:30 on Saturday. Akron going to be taking on Toledo St. John. This is the state semifinals for Division II men's basketball. Going to be a great game. Can't wait to see how this goes. I know that Ty and Dom are super excited to get down there. Ty has been calling and following Akron throughout their journey since they joined our team here at YSN. It's a great opportunity to get with them, and I think we're providing a great opportunity for them as well. And here in Ashtabula County, we've got 7 out of 8 teams that are utilizing this opportunity, this free opportunity that's being provided. My fingers are crossed every day, hoping to receive the confirmation that we're going 8 for 8 here. Right now, we're still trying to figure out, how to make this work, how to make it work with Geneva and get to provide those athletes the coverage that they, honest to God, deserve. There are a lot of great athletes. There are a lot of great parents out there in Geneva. And my sincere hope is that one day very soon in the near future, that we're going to be able to be providing the Geneva Eagles the type of broadcast, the coverage, the time on the show, the previews, all the stuff that we do extra. We just got to get that agreement on their end. So who knows, if you have any questions, check them out, let them know. I would love to hear back. But that's what's going on Saturday. On the 25th, we've got the YSN All-Star Game, baby. And this All-Star Game is going to be absolutely soaked with Ashtabula representation. I cannot wait. We're starting off at the top with Coach Randy Venzel, who's going to be coaching for the girls team down here at the Begley Center. That game's starting right at 5 o'clock. The time change actually happened after this graphic was made, so the game will start at 5 o'clock. Randy Venzel going to be coaching the girls. You're going to see Ashtabula boys playing in this game as well, including Deshaun Williams, who is an absolute sharpshooter from Lakeside, Chance Loomis, the Bolt, who can score seemingly at will from Conneaut. Nate Boyarski, the chef, going to go out there and cook us up some plays. Joey DeGeorge averaging almost 25 points a game this year as the Falcons' #1 stunner. Jesus Hernandez, the best feet in the post in the area. I can't wait to see him line up against the best in Northeast Ohio. Blake Kersnerick the PV giant himself. He's another one. PV, they must have the best nutrition on earth out there in PV local schools because they grow them boys tall. He's coming in there well over 6'4". This kid is a great shooter, a great defender. Can't wait to watch him play the game. Over on the girls' side, Lainey Passanen, the absolute basketball mind that is Lainey Passanen. You got Kate McAllister, who's coming in, probably the fastest on-ball defender that's going to be out there. Kaylin Hart from Grand Valley, Mia Contenza from Jefferson, Alyssa Severa from St. John, Tamor Hoskins from Lakeside. Alyssa Severa is one of the best girls basketball players I've gotten a chance to see. The girl can dribble. She can shoot. She plays great defense. I can't wait to see what she's doing on a high level of competition. Tamor Hoskins, got a chance to watch her for the first time in the Senior Classic. And she gets to the hoop. She gets to the rim almost at will. She's just a phenomenal basketball player. I really regret not getting a chance to see her more because it was very entertaining to get her get to watch her play the game. And then you're also going to have some representation on the broadcast side as myself. I'm going to be calling the boys game with my main man, Ty Bartell. We've had a bunch of fun calling games together. I can't wait for that excitement to build. This is going to be a huge event, and it's the first time that I've ever gotten to personally experience it, and it's the first time that Ashtabula is going to have a full-blown footprint in this game. So I encourage you all to attend this game. Take the trip down Route 11, baby. Go down to Youngstown. There's all kinds of good stuff down there. Get some shopping done. All kinds of great food. If you can't make the trip, though, I completely understand. This is going to be available on ysnlive.com. So it's going to be available live. You're going to be able to watch it at home. But there, like the song says, ain't nothing like the real thing, baby. Come on down to YSU. Check it out at the Beagley Center, 224 West Spring Street, Youngstown, Ohio. And then following that weekend, it's like Drake said, it's a rolling, not a stopwatch. It never stops. We're going over to the Pigskin Pete alumni game. And I've talked to you guys about this on numerous occasions. Joe Pigskin Pete is a big part. He is a big reason on why I got into this. Ryan had to talk me into starting this. I won't lie there, but it's something that's always piqued my interest because of Joe Pigskin Pete and the effect and what he could do and how he could make local kids like Josh Cooper, like, Cameron Bob, like Elijah Juan Cooper, like John McCoy, like Ryan Cole at one point. I never got the Bone Crusher Award, and that's okay. But, he could make those kids feel like superstars, and it was something to shoot for, and it just provided a little bit more of a whole experience when this guy was out here covering sports. And I just thought to myself as a young man, like, what an awesome thing to get involved with. I hope that one day I can make some kind of an impact like that. There will never be another Joe Pete. He is incomparable. But I am doing my very best to try and carry on that same energy. And because of that, anytime Joe Pigskin Pete has something going on, as long as I have the opportunity, I'm 100% going to get there. I'm 100% going to try and do it because I want to support a guy that truly meant so much, not just to me, but to Ashtabula as a whole. So again, let me bring that up because I didn't talk about any of the details. That's happening over at Jefferson High School on March 31st. Going to be a 35 and over group. There's going to be a 35 and under group. The 35 and over is entertaining. We covered it last year. It was a good time. The 35 and under group is very entertaining because, boy, those guys are still in great, great shape. Some of them are it's 35 and under, so it really ends up being like a bunch of 25-year-old guys fresh off college or fresh in college out there running and gunning, shooting threes, dunking the ball, getting it done. It's a whole lot of fun. And all in the name of a great, for a great reason. That Joe Pigskin Pete Alumni Foundation is, it's a great reason to do anything. He was a giant here in Ashtabula, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm just going to do my best to keep that same energy going as we lost him far, far too soon. But yeah, that's what we got for today, folks. Just a kind of a nice little freestyle show, a lot of fun. We're going to put together some brackets and stuff like that, and get that out on social media. Also going to be getting a couple coaching interviews. Those will be happening tonight. We'll be running those tomorrow on the show. Really looking forward to that sort of stuff. If you guys have any questions or you guys want to reach out, hit us on any of these social medias. Make sure you tune back in throughout the day. One of the coolest things about being part of that YSN Live family is you're going to have content all day long. Right around noon, you're going to be able to talk more with Matt Morrison. Matt Morrison, he's always got a ton of interviews, a ton of interesting stuff to say. The show is jam-packed with content. He really does a phenomenal job with that. Shortly after that, you're going to have Running Point with Anthony Hartwig, and Anthony Hartwig is another one. You're going to get to see the perspective of local sports from guys from different parts of the region. Obviously me being from Ashtabula, you're getting the Ashtabula point of view. Matt Morrison's a Kinsman guy. Anthony Hartwig is down there in Trumbull County as well. But these guys just do a phenomenal job of getting coaches on there, getting athletes on there. We are still in the process of kind of getting some of those interviews going, but that's going to be coming as well. But that's going to be right around the 1 o'clock area where you can watch Running Point. And then you get to watch the Cornerstone Power Hour with my main man, DJ Yoakley. And I want to send a special shout out to him from yesterday's show. Yesterday's show, DJ dove into a subject. I think that is kind of, it gives people like the ick. They don't really want to talk about it. It makes people uncomfortable. Where he was talking about mental health. He's talking about mental health of the business owner, of the athlete, of just the person in general, and the importance of receiving the services you need and recognizing that mental health it matters, and that you're not in this alone. And we briefly touched on that on this show, due to some very unfortunate occurrences that happened right here in the county. But it's always anytime I see stuff like that, it's worth listening to, it's worth talking to. And I think DJ just knocked it out of the park yesterday. Definitely worth going back and watching that Power Hour from March 15th. He hit some real points on that show and just did a phenomenal job, as he always does. But you're going to be able to check him out at 3 o'clock as well. YSN is doing our very, very best to provide you the best in local sports coverage. So for that's going to be the show today. I will see you all tomorrow, bright and early in the morning. It's Sam Torres, the 440 Sports Show. I'll talk to you soon.
This for the football. This for the football. For the city and the back roads, got a whole county full of them ghosts. All from the football. Hey, it's just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah, so let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva, them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmerton and Valley. We from the football chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcons. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewood got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating those dragons who run the whole city, you wildin'. And they really bout it, yeah. And next we gon' go to Grand Valley. Work like a horse and don't show no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them, yeah. And Connie, I flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number one in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. This for the football. This for the football. This for the football.